Hello, everyone. Today is Saturday, and I would love to record for this upcoming week. And today's topic is principle. What would be your motto and philosophy and principles that you would stick to and you would adhere to, you would rely on, you would integrate on every daily decision makings? Somehow this week, I've been thought about the principles because there were so many times that maybe for the benefit of me or for myself only, maybe I could have just, yeah, I could have just lived by what is happening in my life as it is. However, my choice was I stick to principles. So everyone's definition around principle in their life can be different because of their belief system, because of their previous experiences, because of their preference or thinking, thought pattern, philosophy, mantra, motto. And I respect that. And today's topic is principle and principle that I've learned from my belief system and also that pleases God. So, number one is we need to think of his characteristics. How is meditating and chewing on the word of God? And this is what I mean by the very, very, very important thing is the daily walk with him by chewing on the word because it's living God. It's him. He is talking to you directly. And it's not the religion and it's not out of obligation. It's a relationship that you carve out your time and really spend that time with God. And it's like when you're dating someone or when you're having family time, what do? You carve out your time to spend time with your family and your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, right? So it's exactly the same thing. So it's not out of obligation or it's because it's religion. No, I would call it's relationship. It's daily walk with God and having that intimate relationship with God. Okay. So back to the points. How do we know God's character? What pleases God and what really displeases God is reading the Bible and chewing on the word. And one of the characteristics of God is God of justice. He's just. And God of righteousness. He's righteous. So this applies to my life too. Even though that is really beneficial to me, whatever you call that is, let's say ABC, whatever ABC is, even though ABC is really beneficial to me, if it's against my principle, which is pleasing God, then even though it's beneficial to me, I can't. I can't allow those because that is against pleasing God. I'm not here to please people. People pleaser at the end of the day, that is not toward mission, vision, purpose. Pleasing God is fulfilling his plan, purpose, vision. So if it is pleasing God, yes, even though it's not at the moment, even though it's not really beneficial to me, if it's against, if it's pleasing God, I would choose that, even though it seems at the very moment looks it's not beneficial to me. That's my principle. Is it pleasing God? That is number one criteria. And is it reflecting God's character, characteristics, which is justice and righteousness. And also he is impartial God. So is it fair? Is it impartial? So that is another principle that I've learned from God, that okay, whatever I make decisions or choices, I always factor in that element as well. Another principle that I have is, because it is written, male, female, Jewish, slave, regardless of the social status, regardless of the gender, regardless of the societal system, hierarchy, whatever, all of those external outer appearance, I see everyone as one individual, one unique individual. So not necessarily view certain thing as, oh, this is so like feminine oriented, or like this is so like, yeah. We may tend to see and interpret things that way because it's natural. It's we as a human being, that's what we see. But by faith meaning is from kingdom's point of view, by kingdom's point of lens is, what is that? What does that entail is I use the same lens as God. So it's all same, it's all equal. I see that individual as one human being, not necessarily as a man or as a human being, not necessarily as based on outer appearance like nationality, not necessarily based on their ethnicity, not necessarily based on their external validation factors, but I see one individual as one spirit, as one human being. So yes, it took for me, it took some time for me to really embrace that and practice that kingdom's lens and view everything from his point of view and his perspectives, kingdom's lens. It took some time for me to practice that and really put it into that action. But now, because I've practiced enough, now I see, yeah, from his lens and see one soul and one spirit. Instead of I see people as a male or female or like a certain age group or whatever you call every outer appearance thingy that worldly people would just see and interpret things as it is, like as what is seen, right? Which is totally natural, yes. But I've learned to use Kingdom's lens and his perspectives, his point of view, and his lens. So see one person as one unique individual. And yes. And back to my point is instead of generalizing and instead of categorizing and classifying something, I view one person as one unique individual. So that is because, like I mentioned, it's because I'm using his lens, his kingdom's perspectives, kingdom's lens, and how he sees people. And he usually uses unqualified people to really glorify him, because that unqualified people would not rely on one's ability with haughty mind or with really proud mind, but that unqualified people would rely on God's strength and really rely on his grace and his wisdom and knowledge and power. And because worldly people would think, oh, that unqualified people, how he or she can do X, Y, Z, right? Because that's their limitation of their thinking and their interpretation. However, in God's world, God will, if it's chosen and marked by God, if God has predestined plan, and if he has started it, he will use the unqualified people to finish his vision, mission, and purpose. So it's just a matter of time that God would use those unqualified people to glorify him and to magnify him. Because why? Because the worldly people will say all of those excuses and negative things when the unqualified people would make it happen through God's wisdom and God's guidance and God's supernatural power. So recap here is principles that we as believers, and also even your non-believers, and if you're happening to check this episode out, you're also welcome to really give you a chance to think it this way. What I mean by that is the principles that is well aligned with God's principles and God's characteristics, which is, as mentioned, righteous, also justice, also impartial, also he creates every single human being as one unique individual. We have different fingerprint. Everyone has different voice. That's how unique we are. And that's how special you are and we are. And God, our creator created us that way. So let's reframe our thinking pattern and challenge our thinking whenever we make any decisions and choices. Does it reflect God's characteristics? Does it, even though it may seem not beneficial to us, does this decision making, does this choice reflect on his characteristics and these principles? Because by choosing those aligned with his characteristics and his characteristics, those decision making and those choices will result our behaviors, and end result will ultimately please God. So pleasing God, that's a blessing to our neighbors, and we are the blessing to our neighbors. So it's also good to be blessed, and at the same time, I think and I feel there's a bigger and higher, wider purpose when it comes to bigger purposes. And being that blessing to others. And I hope, yes, what I would love to, we would love to learn more about the things that you've resonated with us, and also you felt that something stood out to you. Leave the comments and also follow us on Instagram at fitwell.to. We may we may have a weekly episode, and random day. I don't necessarily want to really release the podcast on Tuesday and Thursday when I'm recording on Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, we may change the schedule, and I know God's timing is very on point, very accurate. Even like the second, even the very minute, his timing is really specific and time, like very on point. So I trust that he will move people's heart who needs to listen to this, people's heart who need to listen to this podcast at the very, very moment and very place and very timing. And thank you so much for taking your time to check this out. And if you like this episode, please click the like button and share your feedback. That'll be really appreciated. And thank you so much. And we love you and God bless you. You are the blessing to your neighbors. And we'll connect next week as usual. And stay strong and take heart. You are the blessing.